Hi guys, well a few moments ago MSI lifted the embargo on a new graphics card, so allow me to introduce you to the 5700 XT Gaming X. Now if you've seen the Gaming X under the GTX banner, then you'll see there's been quite a shift in the overall design of this card here. In the 5700 lineup, this card sits at the very top of the pack, above MSI's Mech and Evoke. And we should note, by the way, that we are aware of the reports that some MSI 5700 cards have had elevated VRAM temperatures as a result of thermal pad placement and size. Well, hopefully we're not going to discover the same thing with this card today, but stay tuned as later on we'll be investigating that when we remove the cooler. Gaming X features a double fan configuration which is part of the Twin Frozr 7 thermal design. Our cooler doesn't just focus on keeping the GPU temperature under control, we also have additional components such as a cooling plate for the MOSFETs. And you'll be surprised to know that MSI has taken a step back with the RGB lighting. There is just one spot which is illuminated. So Gaming X is going to be available for $549 in the US, $462 in the UK and then $779 in Australia. So it will be one of the more expensive XTs out there. For that money we do expect decent performance, excellent cooling and of course low noise emission. And again, as per usual guys, we're going to be exploring all the features on this card and then we'll reveal the performance at the end. Before we get into our review, today's video is brought to you by Stormforce and their Onyx GTX 1660 Ti Ryzen 5 3600. This is a pre-built system which comes in at under £1,000. We recently tested out this unit and not only does it offer great performance from current gen AMD hardware, but it provides you great value for money if you're wanting to jump into 1080p gaming with Nvidia's GTX 1660 Ti. Stormforce also give you a 3-year collect, repair and return warranty on their systems. For more info on this, be sure to check out the link in the description. Alright, well this is Gaming X. So MSI has revamped their styling on this latest version of their flagship, and they seem to have opted for cleaner lines and more of a minimalist approach, especially since there is no RGB lighting around the fans or the backplate, just on the outer edge, and that can be customized with the Mystic Light software. And so, taking center stage is a Twin Frozr 7 cooler, which includes two 100mm cooling fans. Be sure to stick around till later in the video as we'll be exploring this thermal design when we detach it from the card. The overall design here is good. It may have a plastic shroud, but it still retains great build quality and will look great in any system. Gaming X is among the larger XTs out there, and in fact it is the largest card that we've reviewed. And for those wanting the actual dimensions, here they are. And so for the length, Gaming X is just over 295mm. For the width, you're looking at 128mm, and then the height 58mm. And so you will need to factor that in if you are upgrading. As always, the Gaming X has a factory overclock applied to it, but with the 5700 XT, RDNA clock speeds perform in a different way to what we've seen in the past from AMD. There is no absolute value for the base or boost clock. The range is defined by the power limit. We should also note that temperatures and quality of silicon also play a role in the actual clock speed. So taking that into account, Gaming X has a GPU clock boost which can climb up to 2025 MHz, and the memory clock operates at the standard 1750, and so no overclock there. And as usual with the XT, we get the 8GB of GDDR6. It is PCI Express 4.0 compliant, DirectX 12 ready, and it supports OpenGL 4.6. It should already be apparent that this is a large card, and as such it's going to occupy 2 spaces on your case and 3 on your board. And on this back panel we get a typical selection for the video outs on the XT. We've got 3 DisplayPort 1.4s, those can give you up to 8K at 60, and 1 HDMI 2.0 that offers 4K at 60. And of course we've got the support for FreeSync 2 HDR. So AMD's Reference XT demands a 500 watt power supply and an 8+6 pin connection. Gaming X takes it up a notch and it requires an 8+8 from the PSU and a 600 watt unit. Over on the back side of the card we've got this large metal backplate which gives the PCB a bit of protection, and as you can see there, MSI has given the plate a 3mm gap from the PCB itself just to help with the air circulation. Okay, so the screws are now detached and the cooler has been lifted off the card. One thing I'm really surprised at is the amount of thermal paste that's been used. Looks like someone was having way too much fun there. Now Gaming X uses two 100mm fans. These are MSI's Torx 3.0s, and like many cars, this one has the 0 decibel technology so that under 60C the fans will stop spinning. Underneath the fans we have this gigantic double heatsink which has been given a special pattern. MSI claim that this wave design will drop the GPU temps by 2 degrees. And that heatsink makes use of a series of copper heat pipes and a nickel plated copper base plate. Now the memory has a special cooling plate over the top of it which should help to improve the temperatures on those chips. However, as you can see, the two at the top are only partly covered. The bottom of that memory is exposed and you can see where the memory has made contact on the plate itself. So it will be interesting to see if this has any bearing on the memory temperatures when we do our tests in a moment. Taking a look at the PCB itself, this is a custom design with an amplified power delivery system which uses a 9+2 phase design. That extra power should come in handy when we come to overclock in the full review. So at the heart of our Gaming X is of course the Navi 10 XT GPU. That utilizes a 7nm process and it makes use of the new AMD RDNA technology. By now it'll come as no surprise that with that GPU and the 8GB of memory, we have in our hands a card which is destined for 1440p. Okay, well that is the overview complete, and so let's now check out some performance by running some games. And for this we're going to be using 1440p and max detail preset within each title. Now in the full review on Vortez.net we're going to be taking a look at other games and comparing that Gaming X to other previously reviewed cards, including other XTs and Nvidia's RTX series. In the background we're going to have GPU-Z there running with max enabled on the temperature recordings for the GPU and memory, so be sure to check that out at the end. Okay, and if we just come out of our last game, we can see what GPU-Z there reports for the temperatures. So there is the maximum value that our card hit during testing for the GPU and the memory. Okay, so that in a nutshell is the MSI 5700 XT Gaming X, a new card from MSI which sits at the very top of the stack for AMD Navi, positioned as their flagship. And we've seen quite a change, haven't we, from MSI in terms of their approach with this Gaming X. RGB has been kept to a minimum. We've got a very sleek looking GPU here. Don't know what you guys think, but I really love the clean look and just really digging the understated aesthetics. Just feels really well built. Performance is on par with other aftermarket XTs, and that is going to be the case, going to be the same story for most cards with a factory overclock. The cooling and price point are really where we're going to see that differential. MSI's cooler does a good job at keeping the temperatures down, although it isn't the best cooler we've seen. It does excel in low noise emission. And on the pricing, it is $549 in the US, $462 in the UK, and then $779 in Australia. And so it is up there as one of the more expensive models. If you've been watching, you'll know that when we took the cooler off our card, we identified that the memory is only partly covered. And while this doesn't impede on the thermal performance all that much, it seems to be a reoccurring thing for MSI 5700 cards, and we would like to see them address it. As per usual, guys, we're going to be following up with a full review of this Gaming X with comparison to a range of other cards, testing 1080 up to 4K, and as well as that best manual overclock. So if you want more detail in a full review, then please head on over to that link on the screen and in the description. Today's question for you: what do you guys think of this redesign by MSI? Just drop your answer in the top right corner. Hope you've enjoyed today's video. I'd be grateful if you could drop the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, making sure that that bell notification is switched on, because in our next video it is likely that we're going to be taking a look at this new PowerColor Red Dragon. So stay tuned for that. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time.